Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Off the Field from WTK's Rock Solid Sports. I got my guy Joseph Bonanno here with me today, and we are recapping Tennessee baseball's 10-0 shutout win over South Carolina. They sweep South Carolina this weekend to perform their first series sweep and first series win, of course, of conference play. Joseph, what's the big takeaway from today's shutout?
Drew Beam. It's 100% Drew Beam. I mean, he had a perfect game, no hitter going into the seventh inning. Unfortunately, a pretty difficult double that bounced off Drew Gilbert's glove ended that run, but it was the only hit and only base runner given up by Drew Beam and the rest of the Vols pitching staff today. I mean, he looked phenomenal. He looked confident. He was in control, and he was throwing his pitches with will, And so when you have a freshman that can do that on Sunday, I mean, it's impressive. And this is actually the second freshman in 2 years that can do that on a Sunday.
Right, absolutely, because Blade Tidwell last year was lights out for the Vols. And do you see any similarities between Blade and Drew?
Honestly, I think the similarities are the success and the production and how they handle themselves on the field. And, Tony, I asked Tony that question in the post game, and he said that one thing that describes both Tidwell, Drew Beam, and freshman Chase Burns is professionalism. They come out here and they know exactly how to work. They know what to do to prepare themselves. They know how to act when they're on the field, when they're pitching. And when you have a freshman that can come in as mature as that on the field, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Drew Beam it's composure.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's confidence and composure, and he has that on the mound for sure. We saw it against Oklahoma down in Texas, and we saw it here today against South Carolina. And, he played quarterback in high school. I'm sure that's helping him a little bit, with that confidence and that clutch bone, if you will.
It also definitely helps with the pressure because high school football definitely brings a bigger crowd than high school baseball.
Yeah, well, Lindsey Nelson, speaking of crowds, Lindsey Nelson showed out here today. It's beautiful weather here in Knoxville, and Lindsey Nelson definitely showed out, didn't it, Joseph?
It did show out. I mean, when Tony came to pull him out as he was walking off the mound, the entire stadium just erupted. And if that doesn't tell you anything about Drew Beam's performance and what he means to this team this year, then nothing will.
Yeah, definitely. And, Drew Beam, he said he maybe wanted to go a little longer, but, Tony made the decision to take him out, and it probably was the correct decision. He had just given up 2 flyouts, so, I feel like it was the right time.
I have a feeling that Tony left him in for those final 2 outs of the seventh, or those first 2 outs of the seventh inning, because of something he said down in Texas when the Vols lost to Texas, and he said that he felt like he pulled the trigger too early on Chase Burns. Yeah. And so I felt like he didn't want to do that and make that same mistake twice here with Beam, and he didn't, and it paid off.
Absolutely. And, Beam was lights out for the Vols as well as the other pitchers. Like Joseph said, only one Gamecock got on base today against Tennessee, but Tennessee's bats got really hot as the game progressed. Christian Moore and Evan Russell had back-to-back home runs in the 3rd inning, but it really came in the 6th inning, didn't it?
Yeah, the 6th inning, it was a Drew Gilbert 2-run RBI after Seth Stevenson made a heck of a play on the bases.
I don't even know how to describe that. He got in a pickle.
Yeah, he got in a pickle and somehow just outran the entire South Carolina
infield. It's never
infield.
a good idea to try and chase Seth Stevenson. That's the lesson to take away.
Yeah, no, it's not. And then following that up was Trey Lipscomb with an absolute mammoth of a home run, 440 feet, 108 exit velo off the bat. I mean, that is first round big league power.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Vols kept it going as Evan Russell had another home run today later on in the game. What do you think of Russell's 2-run shot?
Russell looks a lot more comfortable at the plate than maybe he did at the beginning of the season. And, talking to him, he credited that to maybe
being relaxed.
Being relaxed because he doesn't have the pressure. He doesn't have the pressure at the plate because he's so focused on playing as the perfect position at catching. Right. He mentioned when he was in the outfield, you don't really get a lot of action back there, and so it's kind of easy to get your mind into the rut you're in at the plate. But with catching, he's basically touching the ball almost every play.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just really great to see Evan Russell be that complete player for the Vols. He's definitely a great option as the lineup, goes into the late lineup there.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can put him and Christian Moore back to back, and like they said, things work out when you do, it's going to be a lethal offense that already leads the nation in home runs, hits, batting average, just about every offensive stat you can think of.
Yeah, and a lot thanks to Trey Lipscomb, and as of late, Christian Moore seems like he's really gotten to that role of the DH.
Yep, 7 home runs and 31 at bats. Tony says he doesn't think that's ever been done or he's ever seen that out of one of his freshmen.
Yeah, and last thing here, Joseph, before we wrap up, Tennessee's going to Ole Miss this weekend. They got Vanderbilt next weekend on the road. What are you looking to see out of these Vols starting in Oxford this weekend?
The pitching, the biggest thing this season is that the young pitchers have showed out, but we're now getting into conference play, and when you come into the SEC, the hitting gets a lot better. And so Ole Miss is a very tough offensive team. I mean, they're one of the top offenses in the nation. They're ranked top 5 for a reason. And just about every NCAA baseball poll. So I'm really hoping that these young pitchers can settle in and prove that they belong in the SEC, and they can start in the SEC with the big guys.
Yeah, it's a good point. And Ole Miss, definitely a different animal the Vols will face this weekend than they just faced in South Carolina. But nonetheless, an impressive series for Tennessee, sweeping South Carolina, ending it with a shutout right here in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. For Joseph Bonanno, I'm Jack Foster, and thanks for tuning into this edition of Fresh Off the Field by WTK's Rock Solid Sports.